In the quiet winds of the Blue Mountains live the stories of the people who shape this valley. Stories we listen to, stories we carry, and stories we're finally ready to tell, from voices on the ground to echoes across the Blue Mountain region. Here in this valley, our stories will finally be shared.
Small city of Milton-Freewater, located in the great state of Oregon, people there have stories to share. And the best stories are always told by those that live to tell the tale. You see, in Milton-Freewater, things move a little slower, but that doesn't mean the town doesn't have character, nor does it mean the place doesn't have potential. Now, some folks think the town is done for, and yet some would share that there's still hope for such a place. You see, folks like Bob White, well, they've been around long enough to teach us a thing or two. From the heart of Milton-Freewater comes a man who served his country, a proud Vietnam veteran whose story will inspire this community. So sit back and listen to a thing of the past that might just prove to shed light on the next generation.
Can you tell us your name?
Bob White.
Okay, Bob. And Bob, where were you born?
Richmond, California, a little town just out of Oakland.
And where did your family come from originally?
My parents came out of Missouri.
And let me ask you, Bob, when did you move to Milton-Freewater?
My folks moved to Milton-Freewater back in 48.
Okay.
Almost 49. I was only a year and a half, coming up on 2 years old at the time.
Why did your family choose Milton-Freewater? Tell us the story of how that happened.
My father was employed in the shipyards down in San Francisco, but the war came to an end and the shipyard started phasing out and closing down. And he found himself looking for a job. But they heard that money grew on trees in Oregon. So they loaded up everything they had and they moved to Oregon. The only problem was they moved in the end of October, the 1st of November. And there wasn't much growing on trees then.
Okay.
And they settled on Milton-Freewater primarily because they ran out of gas there.
Okay.
They were out of gas, out of money. So let's find a place and set up housekeeping and find a way to make some money and to be able to feed ourselves. So that's what they did. I do remember, though, the first place we lived in this town, and actually it wasn't in town, it was in a cherry orchard in what is now Northwest 8th. We were way out there. Folks had managed to rent a little shanty shack, basically, from the landowner. And as a kid, 2-year-old, I'm out playing in the orchards and the irrigation ditches, and that's my earliest memories.
What was your first impression of Milton-Freewater as a child? If you could recall anything.
Well, we actually moved into town when I started school, when I went into kindergarten at 5 years old or something right there. Of course, at that age, man, this is a big city. This is something else. As growing up, the way things were, Milton-Freewater, actually Freewater, because I did not go to Milton. That was a separate entity all in itself. Freewater was a relatively bustling community. We had everything you ever wanted was right there in town within 4 blocks, really, depending upon what side of the street you wanted to be on.
So, did you like growing up here?
Yes. And there wasn't a whole lot here in town. I mean, we had a bowling alley, and if you had a car, you could go drag the gut, that they called it, or play around on the edges of the law doing drag racing with the police department, but we're not going to talk about that. Most of us kind of were looking for someplace else to go, someplace where it was more exciting and more fun.
So tell me why you're quiet about that, that you won't talk about it. I've heard stories that the police, instead of wanted to drag race with you guys. Is that true, or was that just a
sort of something like that? Back in those days, we had an impromptu drag strip set up on the hill up by where the cemetery is now, and we would find somebody that wanted to go play, and we would run up there. And there were occasions when our police chief, Mr. Bill, we won't go any farther than that, showed up with a patrol car, and the challenge was made. Naturally, he won, but not that he was anything special, but yeah, nobody wanted the ticket, so.
Okay. Was that exciting that time for you?
Yes, yeah, there was some excitement to be had there. And
do you think the parents approved of this, or did they know about it? Or everything was on the hush hush?
Yeah, we kept it quiet. You know, my dad found out about what I was doing, I wouldn't have sat down for a month. So, yeah, it was a different era back then than me.
So, what were the hangout spots?
Oh, heavens. The vast majority of the hangout spots were at the bowling alley, Carl's Drive-In. You go pick up your sodas and malts and ice cream, whatever.
So let's move on to the festivities that you remember. So let's talk in particular about the Pea Festival. What was that like back then?
That was kind of a big deal. Circus came to town, or the carnival. There were all the typical rides and games and stuff like that. And during that period of time, harvest was going on. The population in town just jumped. There were things going on all the time. So,
growing up, was there still a rivalry between the city of Milton and the city of Freewater at that time?
It was an unspoken rivalry, yes. If we showed up in Milton, some afternoon and evening, if we didn't have a specific thing that we were there to do, we were set to go deliver or pick up or whatever, we were informed non-totally to get back on the other side. So, yes, there was a rivalry. Milton was the higher up. Freewater was, yeah.
Okay. Was it very religious? You know, they talk about how religious Milton was. Was this true, or what?
Milton had a lot more churches than Freewater did.
So at any social gatherings, if you recall, how would people react if you were from Freewater?
Oh, heavens. Mostly you were ignored. If you were around something social, if they said something to you, it was going to be a little detrimental, but mostly you were just ignored, and quite obviously ignored.
So how did they feel? How did they feel about the bars Because I guess there was more bars in Freewater than Milton. Were there any bars in Milton at that time?
I honestly can't tell you about the bars in Milton because, you know, we weren't allowed to be in bars. But in Freewater, I got kicked out of every bar in there before I was at the age of 15. I used to sell newspapers in Freewater. In other words, I walked up and down Main Street yelling, you know, paper, read all about it, and trying to sell newspapers. And you walk into a bar and see if you could get somebody there to buy a paper. You know, bartenders would usually try to usher us out. We'd try our dangest to sell them a paper to get us to leave. But, yeah, I was in several of those.
And how did the people feel after Milton and Freewater became one city? What was that like? Was everybody good with that, or?
That was a long, slow heal. Yeah, it took a lot of time. You know, it fit for certain individuals, and that's why it happened. That's why they were joined. And most of those people were the more well-to-do, and that's why they did it. As far as the rest of us were concerned, we'll heal up one step at a time.
Our stories will finally be shared.